Today we're going balls to the wall with a refined, mature take on Rakdos aggro. I like to call it 7 balls.
What's wrong with you?
This deck is built around 7 6/1 trample haste creatures, Ball Lightning, and its younger cousin, Lightning Skelemental. Now, after these two beaters do their thing, they die at the end of turn.
Oh no.
But don't worry, we can bring the balls back with Thunderkin Awakener and Unearth to get aggro with the balls some more. And for the icing on the cake, we can fling them at our opponent's face using Burn Together to deal the final points of damage.
Hey, ouch! What the heck was that? Bro, what's wrong with you? You're really losing it with these intros. This is trashy.
Yeah, you're right. You guys get the idea.
Balls.
Goodness gracious, we've got some balls. We're keeping it. 7 looks good. On the draw. Basic Plains and a Sigarda's Aid. We start with a Channeler, not bad. We'll fetch. I think we're going to shotgun a Blood Crypt to start. Play out our Channeler. Basic Plains from our opponent and a Stoneforge Mystic. And they opt for Colossus Hammer. Alright, we draw into another Blood Crypt. Because of Surge of Salvation, we're not going to sit around and give them the opportunity to equip this. So we'll start Bloodstained Mire. We'll fetch. Basic Swamp. Stitcher Supplier. We will have Delirium after we fire off this bolt. Trigger. Blackleaf Cliffs. We'll put that into the graveyard. Move to combat. Attack in for 3. Funds down to 17. Horizon Canopy into a Pure Steel Paladin. They're going to fire off that hammer now. It's going to trigger the Paladin. They'll draw a card. That's going to be a tough one to get through. Now, this is an interesting scenario because both Pure Steel Paladin and Sigarda's Aid lets our opponent equip their weaponry for free. But Pure Steel Paladin has a stipulation associated with the equip, in that you need to have 3 artifacts in play in order to be able to do so. My opponent casts out a Stoneforge Mystic, which gets their Shadow Spear, which in turn will give Paladin lifelink and put the game out of reach. But they make a critical error. They cast out a Gingerbrute first, and then their Shadow Spear, triggering the Sigarda's Aid and targeting the Gingerbrute with the new equipment. This allows us to flash in our Bowmaster and kill the Gingerbread Man. And look, they only have 2 artifacts in play, so now they can't move their Shadow Spear onto the Paladin. Oh wow, we might get lucky here. Skelemental, and I think this is going to be lethal. Attack with the team. Wow, what a game. The balls triumph. We're up 1. After a quick Game 2 loss at the hand of some Urza Saga constructs, we're on to Game 3, which is for all the marbles. Dragon's Rage, Bobble, Trigger. Ooh, I like Inti. We're going to put that on top. Look at their top card. We see a Blacksmith Skill. Draw a card, opponent with a Sentinel. Back our way. We found a Bowmaster, which is excellent, and I think that's where we're going to start this turn. Hit the Sentinel, Bobble, trigger the Dragon's Rage, Skelemental. Let's go into the graveyard. Look at their top card. See a Path to Exile. Combat, attack for 1. They're at 18. Alright, we found another Skelemental, and our opponent missed their land drop. Brutal. Another Bowmasters. Let's fire off this Thoughtseize. Opponent's going to take 1. Path the Dragon's Rage. Get a mountain out of our deck. Fatal Push on top. I think we're going to keep that there as well. And with this hand, I think we'll take Giver of Runes. Combat. Attack for 2. Opponent's down 15. We're going to play an Explosives for 1. Opponent with another Giver. Move to combat. Attack. No blocks from our opponent. They're down to 13. Sequencing is a little bit weird here. I think I'm just going to play out the Inti here. Opponent finds their second land. 2 mana. Stoneforge Mystic. Trigger. And they find the Cauldron. We're going to pop the Explosives. Get rid of this Giver. They give the Stoneforge protection. I think we're okay with that. Protection from red. Move to combat. We're going to swing with the Bowmaster. And I think we're actually going to get rid of the other Bowmaster here. Bowmaster's a 2/2. We find another Thoughtseize. The allure of card advantage was too much for me to turn down, so instead of killing their Stoneforge, which I likely should have done, I Thoughtseized them instead, and took their Cauldron. They missed another land drop on their next turn. Never punished. Let's push that Stoneforge now that we have the chance to, cast out the Skelemental, and ball out of control. We're 1-0, but our next match is going to be a real nail-biter. Opponent leads with the Steam Vents, and they cycle a Curator of Mysteries. Alright, we draw into a Bloodstained Mire. Let's start with our Blackleaf Cliffs and Stitcher Supplier. We've got 3 creatures in the graveyard. Love to see it. Stomping Ground from our opponent, and they pass the turn.
Because Living End is a graveyard deck, the trigger from my Skelemental, making my opponent discard cards, can actually be a bit of a liability. Fortunately, when the ball connects and puts them down to 9 life, they don't discard any creatures, but instead, 2 Living Ends.
Scalding Tarn, pass it back. They cycle a Waker of Waves and a Violent Outburst to the graveyard. Cycle an Architect, and they're missing their land drop. End of turn, I'm going to fetch Blood Crypt, shock it in, and we're going face. Draw into a Bowmaster, Skelemental number 2, and they do have the Subtlety, Force Negation, discarded from hand. We'll put it back on top just in case they miss their land drop again.
And they sure did. But once again, they had Subtlety to buy more time. The next turn I wasn't so lucky, as they found a 3rd land and resolved their Living End, and now I'm in quite a pickle. I do some quick math, and I see that if my opponent attacks with all of their creatures and doesn't account for the Bowmasters in my hand, which they don't know about, we'll be able to block and survive at 1 life. So let's see if our opponent is a risk taker.
Back their way, 2 cards in hand. Okay, and they attack with a team. If they don't have another creature to play post-combat, we'll be able to win with this Ball Lightning. Opponent cycles a Waker in response to the Bowmaster. Not sure what they're looking for here. Steam Ends the graveyard. Hit them down to 2, and if my math is correct, we should be at 1 life here. 3, 6, 10, 13, 15. 1 life. Alright, go Ball Lightning. The Balls triumph. Game 2.
And while I was sideboarding, our opponent scooped. They were so demoralized by Ball Lightning, they gave up. We're 2-0.
Match 3, 2-0. Let's go. 7 looks good. We'll keep it. Start with our Bobble. Look at their top card. Fiery Islet. Blood Crypt tapped. Pass the turn. Draw for our Bobble. We find a Lightning Bolt. Arid Mesa. Fetch. So this is Burn. Let's see who's the faster Burn deck here. Swift Spear. Down to 19. Second Bowmaster. We'll play out our Blackleaf Cliffs. And I think we're just going to pass turn. Sunbaked Canyon. Suspend a Rift Bolt. Attack. Or flash in a Bowmaster. We'll ping the Swift Spear. We'll see if they have another Burn spell. And we'll actually double block here. Back our way. Thoughtseize not great. We're going to move to combat. Attack for 1. Fire off the Bowmaster. Down to 14. Rift Bolt. Pointing at us. Down to 16. Searing Blaze. Kill our Bowmaster. Skewer the Critics. We're down to 10. I think every card in my opponent's hand is 2 CMC, just because they didn't cast a spell in response to the double block on the Swift Spear. But I actually think I'm going to Thoughtseize myself. Get rid of the Skelemental. Unearth the Skelemental. Attack in for 8. They discard a Vortex and Skewer the Critics. They have 1 card left in hand. Goblin Guide. Untap. Draw Bloodstained Mire. Alright, so I think we're going to start on our Inti. Attack with the Orc Army. Trigger Inti. Discard Ball Lightning. Counter on the Orc. Land, which is going to represent us being able to cast our Bolt. And if they cast anything, they're going to take damage off of it, so we should have the win. They block, they'll take a Pointed Trample. Land. Face. We're up a game. Alright, I'm actually going to board out 3 Thoughtseizes. We're going to bring in 2 Push and a Bowmaster to deal with their creatures. Opponent's on a mulligan to 6. We really want another land. Sam would be great if we had one. I think we're going to mulligan. Alright, this is pretty good. We'll keep. I think we're going to get rid of the Supplier. Inspiring Vantage. Goblin Guide. Alright, found a land, and a good one. Unearth is the draw. Play out our land. Pass turn. Arid Mesa. Combat. Another land. Love to see it. Thank you, Mr. Guide. Your service has been appreciated. Lava Spike. We're down to 15. Draw Fatal Push. We'll play out Basic Mountain. Pass the turn. Fetch end of turn from our opponent. Basic Mountain. Fire off a Bolt. We're at 12. Okay, they do nothing. Fire off our Bowmasters. Hit them down to 18. We draw into a Bloodstained Mire. Scalding Tarn. Fetch. Basic Mountain. I'm going to fire off this Skelemental. I anticipate it getting bolted. And I think we're going to leave Orc Army back on defense just in case.
Even if the Skelemental gets bolted, I was still feeling very confident because I had Unearth in my hand to bring it back next turn. But I didn't take into account 1 card out of the burn sideboard that I'm not used to seeing.
Attack for 7. Oof, that's brutal. How rude. I'm down to 5 life. That was rough. Goblin Guide? Goblin Guide, okay. Glad I kept this Orc back on defense. Attack, attack. Ball Lightning on top. Block 1, and we'll go down to 3 life. Very dangerous 3 life. Bloodstained Mire, cast Unearth, bring back the Skelemental. I'm gonna hit for 7. If they draw another Goblin Guide, they get us. They're down 10. Discard a Helix. We'll fetch. Down to 2 life. Basic Swamp, pass the turn. Opponent with a Swift Spear, we will survive this. Combat. attacks, triggers, and we see a bolt on top. Oh no. Bolt the guide, fatal push the guide, back to us. All right, ball lightning, attack for 6, they're down at 4. All right, we need to dodge. They attack, we do have to block. Think they have a land. Okay, they do nothing. Bobble, it's a redraw. See a Rift Bolt on top, they can't cast that just yet. Okay, we find a land, they attack, we'll bolt it down. Rift Bolt suspended, back our way. Lots of kills. Oh, that's not gonna be good enough, we'll scoop it up. Game 3, we'll take the play.
This one was disappointing. After such a close game 2, we open with back-to-back no-landers, and our 5-card hand just isn't enough for us to get there. That was a tough one. Deflecting Palm, holy moly, come on now.
This is match 4, our 7 looks excellent, we'll keep it, our opponent's on the play. Steam Vents, tapped. Draw Sokazon, Cliffs, Channeler, Bobble, Trigger. We'll put another Bobble into the graveyard. Look at their top card. See a basic island. Draw for a Bobble, find a Thoughtseize. I like it. See island from my opponent. We draw Swamp. Kind of wanted to fetch that one potentially. Bloodstained Mire, Stitcher Supplier. Love to see an instant in the graveyard. We'll fetch. Shotgun a Blood Crypt. Fire off Thoughtseize. Trigger the Channeler. Another land on top. We'll put that in the graveyard. Okay, and this is blue-red control. And we're going to take the Archmage's Charm. Combat. Attack for 1. Pass turn back. Basic island. It's coming our way. Alright, we drew a second Dragon's Rage, not bad. Playing it out pre-combat's not going to change anything. So we'll start land. Inti, it's going to get flamed down. Move to combat. Okay, Inti's gone. 4 card types. Swing for 4. Opponent's down 15. Second Channeler, pass turn. Preordain. 2 cards on top. Bolt down the Channeler. Play out a land. 3 cards in hand. Oh, and that is so close. If we had another red source. We'll play out our Sokazon. Ball Lightning. Move to combat. Attack for 10. Opponent's at 5 life.
With their life total so low, my opponent is scrambling to try to manage our threats. They snap Bolt to kill my Channeler, but the Mage gets shot down by a top deck Bowmaster. Some more back and forth over the next 2 turns, and we reach a pivotal turn in the game. They cast out a Snapcaster Mage, bolt the Orc army, and block my Stitcher Supplier. Now, I know they have Subtlety in hand, but I'm going to make a very curious play to hopefully throw them off. I cast my Skelemental post-combat, which means it can attack, and it's going to die when I move to my end step. As I predicted, my opponent doesn't use their Subtlety, and I get to fling the ball of lightning at their face for the win. A very satisfying victory. We're moving on to match 5. Let's see if we can ball out one last time.
7 looks good, we'll keep it. Opponent's on a 5-card hand. We'll Shotgun a Blood Crypt, Channeler, Bobble, Trigger. Maybe I was supposed to hold that for a turn. Land to the graveyard, pass turn. Let's look at their top card. See an Inkmoth Nexus. Play that out, back to us. Draw a card off the Bobble, another Skelemental. Draw a card for turn. Thoughtseize is excellent. We'll fetch. Basic, Channeler 2, Thoughtseize. Triggers, Bolt to the graveyard, Inti to the graveyard. Automaton, Zabaz, Cauldron. We're taking the Cauldron. Attack for 3. Opponent's at 17. Pendelhaven and an Automaton. That's what we wanted. Fetch, Basic, Skelemental, attack with the team. They're going to take 12 and discard 2 cards. Forest and Zabaz, they have a Saga in hand. Play out the Saga, and we're up a game. All right. I'm going to board out a bunch of cards with Graveyard Synergies and a Ball Lightning, and we're going to bring in a bunch of removal. I don't think this is a mulligan, but I also don't think this is great. We'll keep it, see how this goes. Opponent keeps their 6-card hand, Basic Forest, and their namesake, Hardened Scales. Skelemental, not terrible. We'll start Bobble. Look at their top card. See a Pathway. We'll play out a land, pass turn. Draw a card off the Bobble. That was what I was worried about. Drawing a Push was the only instance where it was correct to play out the Swamp first. Saga and a Hangerback. Hangerback Walker could actually be a potential win condition for us if we allow it to get big enough, kill it with removal, and then use Rakdos Charm to have each creature deal their controller a point of damage. I felt it was likely far-fetched to win in that fashion, and wind up using the charm to kill the Walker after Tamio's safekeeping protected it from our Lightning Bolt. The Ozolith, along with a second Hardened Scales, turns one of their Thopter tokens into a very viable threat. I go down to 5 life and draw into my Fling, which I can pair with the Skelemental that's in my hand. The combination puts them down to 7 life, and I'm praying to the top of my deck. Another ball off the top, and I'll win the game and the match. And we draw land. Not going to be good enough. We'll scoop it up, go to game 3. 7 looks good to me. We'll keep it. Blood Crypt, Channeler, pass turn. Pendlehaven, and a Dismember. Draw Blackleaf Cliffs. We'll start with our Supplier. Ball Lightning in the graveyard. Play out the Cliffs. Unearth the ball. Combat. Swing for 6. Opponent's at 10. Saga. Cauldron. Back to us. Draw Thoughtseize. Tarn Fetch. Basic. Skelemental. Attack for 7. We're going to put them down to 3. Arcbound and Hangerback discarded. They eat the Hangerback. Skelemental goes away. Saga up to 2. There's an Automaton. Untap. Bowmaster is interesting. We'll fire off Thoughtseize, see what they're working with, and we'll just get rid of the Hangerback. No attacks, pass the turn. Eat the Ravager, counter on the Automaton. It's a 2-2. Saga up to 3. Add a mana, 3 cards in hand. It's going to be a Zabaz, I imagine. Ooh, a Shadow Spear. Okay. Equip the Shadow Spear. Got a 3-3. Attack for 3. We'll take it. Down to 12. Flash and a Bowmaster, end of turn. They're down to 5. Untap. Okay, Fatal Push can get rid of the Automaton. And we know they have Tameo safekeeping, so we're going to do that now. Combat. Attack them down to 2. Going their way. 4 cards in hand. Welding Jar. We know 2 Ozoliths. Draw a Bauble. Move to combat. Attacks. Safekeeping. They gain 2. 1 life. Bauble. Look at their top card. See a Zabaz. I don't think that's going to do it. Draw a card. There's Zabaz. And we got there with the 3 and 2. So I'd say Modern's newest tribal deck, 7-Ball, was a smashing success. Thank you for tuning in today. Here's the chest for your viewing pleasure. I will see you all again very soon. Until then, you know the deal, my friends. Be well.